Around July in the year 842 CE, which is around 227 Hijrah. And this is, of course, very early in Islam, before the era of any of the major books of hadith or tafsir have been compiled. The famous Abbasid Khalifa al-Wathiq Billah, he saw a dream that greatly disturbed him. He saw in his dream that the great wall that was built by Dhul Qarnayn to block Yajuj and Majuj had been opened up. This dream caused him so much distress, and of course he was the Khalifa, and he had the entire army and the entire teams at his disposal. And so he decided to send an expedition to the ends of the earth and to see how true his dream was. After asking his advisors who to send, they said they had the right man for the job, and they told him about this traveler whom history has recorded as Salam at-Tarjuman. Salam, the polyglot, the one who spoke many languages. Tarjuman means he spoke many languages. Frankly, we don't have much information about Salam other than this particular story. So the Khalifa calls Salam to his palace, and he gives him a mini army of 100 top-notch soldiers and horses and cavalry and equipment, lots of money. He gives him multiple types of passes and letters to guarantee his safety to the ends of the earth. And he tells him, your job is to go and find the wall of Dhul Qarnayn and to tell me whether it has cracked open or not. So Salam took on this assignment with great gusto, and he spent the next 2 to 3 years traveling province after province, working his way eastwards, until finally, according to his own account, he did reach the fabled gate of Yajuj and Majuj. There, he verified that the gate was indeed in intact condition, fully fortified, no holes in the gate. And to prove his point, he carved out a small piece of the wall, and he brought it back to the palace in Samurra or Surnamarra'a. He brought it back to the Khalifa, and he said to him, I saw the gate with my own eyes, and it is fully intact. The Khalifa was so happy and impressed with him that he promptly awarded him and all of the remaining crew massive treasures, and ordered Salam to dictate his chronicles to a minor historian at the time, who eventually became a politician and in a later generation became a vizier for the next Khalifa. And this historian is called Ibn Khurdazbeh, or according to another transliteration, Ibn Khurradazbeh. And so Ibn Khurdazbeh or Ibn Khurradazbeh, he wrote a book which is still extant to this day. It is called Al-Masaliki wal-Mamalik, the book of routes and the book of kingdoms. Al-Masaliki wal-Mamalik, the book of routes, how you get to place, and the book of kingdoms. And through Ibn Khurdazbeh's work, this legend or this tale or this story was preserved. And it was then further adapted and developed by many later historians of later generations. And from their works, we get this story. So, for example, Al-Idrisi, who wrote his famous geography under the Norman king Roger, he wrote this his famous work on geography, Kitabu Rojar. He preserved the story. Al-Mas'udi, the famous historian, he preserved the story as well. Al-Bayruni as well, he wrote it. Al-Muqaddisi, Ibn al-Jawzi, and on and on. So many of the famous historians whose books are popular in the libraries, they took it from Ibn Khurdazbeh. Now, this entire chronicle, this entire narration has actually been translated into English, and you will find it in various academic articles and publications. And it is actually of great interest to many modern historians, because Salam Tarjuman, in his dictation that he said, he gives a very detailed city by city description of his itinerary. And it does seem that where he went, it corresponds to what we know of the world at that time. And so he describes the cities, he describes the cultures, and so people in our times, they're taking great interest, because it was very rare for a traveler to travel these long distances. Ibn Battuta is well known, Marco Polo is well known. Why? Because it was very rare to travel. And so Salam Tarjuman, in his travel, he was one of the few who actually traveled so many countries and cities and distances, and then he dictated when he came back, and that has been recorded.